Back to this week with the last hearings in Ladybrand. We thought it a good idea at the end of this part of the Truth Commission to give you an idea of a day in the life of the Human Rights Violations Committee.
.6:25 and the Eastern Free State town of Ladybrand is sound asleep. Only these police officers brave the bone-chilling cold. They've been on duty through the night, keeping watch over the town hall, where the last human rights violations hearing is to be held.
My name is Tamsan Mfazo. I'm staying here at Botshabelo G section. This morning I attended the TRC at Ladybrand. I was tortured by the apartheid regime. I think this day is a day that I was not actually waiting for. When I was informed that I must attend the TRC, to me it's something new that today the whole world will know about the past.
7:53 and Human Rights Committee members Richard LYSTER and ILAN Lax arrive for breakfast. Minutes later, when most of the TRC staff members have joined them, the conversation takes on a more serious tone.
What Ilan and I talked about was basically that we should just mark this, the end of the HRV hearings, because it is very symbolic. I think, in my view, it's the end of a very interesting and I think very brave social experiment. There are no other commissions that have ever been held anywhere else in the world that have done it in this way. So it is really the end of an era. We won't see this sort of thing happening again in South Africa.
Secondly, I also appeal to the interstate bus line director that I'm prepared to reconcile with him if he also is prepared to say the truth and what he has done to me.
Meanwhile, back at the town hall, Superintendent Gerrit Fourie and his staff carry out the first security check of the day.
Every morning we have to come in and secure the building. We bring in the dark unit and the explosive men there to sweep the whole building to ensure that there's no suspected parcels and that everything is secure for the members to come and take the place here. I don't think it differs from any other duties that we perform. Our duty is only to secure the place.
The police also provide security for the committee members. Just before 9, a team arrives to escort LYSTER and Lax to the hearing.
It's quite amazing that just when we thought we'd heard everything that there was to hear, every sort of kind of story and kind of situation, we're still hearing new stuff.
When he arrives at the town hall, LYSTER, who is to chair the proceedings, makes a quick count of the witnesses. and the hearing gets underway.
Good day, Mr. Mfazwe.
Good day.
Mr. ILAN Lex will help you take an oath before we start with your story.
Do you have any objection to taking an oath? Do you swear that the evidence you will give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand and say, I do, so help me God.
I tied my two heads between my legs. He put two chairs. They put a stick and performed a helicopter method so that I should linger around, and that made me hit on my shoulders and on my lower limb. I was detained again for the second time in 1988 when I was taken back to Grootfontein prison. I was just taken. There was no question or information. They just say the Minister of Law and Order, who is Adrian Flock, instructed them that I should be taken back to prison.
Our decision was to start a hunger strike. We were 16 in all. We started on the 24th, and after 7 days, the comrades requested us to withdraw the hunger strike. I was left on my own. I said, no more turning back. In our cells, we wrote on the walls, release or death.
Other witnesses at Ladybrand also speak openly about their suffering. Mokese MOLOKWANE testifies that the tip of his penis had to be amputated as a result of torture by the police and a Free State farmer.
This white policeman he was a warrant officer. I was able to identify him as a warrant officer. Then he said, this kafir is pretending to be dead.
Katazile Tele was too emotional to relate her own story, and her son had to testify on her behalf.
So intention was to kill the whole of the people of Botshabelo.
By lunchtime, as the hearings draw to a close, the committee looks back at the human rights violations hearings, which started in April last year.
Over these past months, we have been taken by victims like yourselves today. We have been taken into what I can only describe as the very heart of darkness, into the most cruel and lonely corners of the human temperament. We have heard terrible stories of assault, abduction, torture, and death from every corner of this country. But we've also heard stories about the strength and the triumph of the human spirit over adversity.
In my personal discussions with people who've given testimony, the vast majority are very grateful to have had that opportunity to be acknowledged. And so as we have grappled our way through this process, from that first hearing in East London to this hearing in Ladybrand, we have slowly learnt more and more about the cruel past we've had to deal with. but also, as Richard says, about the incredible bravery and fortitude of people.
When the hearing finally ends at around 1:30, it's clear that nobody involved in the Truth and Reconciliation process is left untouched.
Your role as interpreter within the Truth Commission, which is a unique role you play, is to absorb the emotions and transfer the message which the witness is trying to put across to the Commission and to the nation at large. And then it's up to you at the end of the day how you deal with those emotions.
You see, we do first-person interpreting. You put yourself in the shoes of the victim. You don't say, the police took his child away and they brought him the next day and she was feeling very angry. No, you say, I was very angry because they took my son away. They brought him back the next day and his body was full of bullet wounds. You know, I went to the mortuary to identify him. Those are very touching stories. You get emotional, you know, we are human beings.
I've always just tried to sort of wash this sort of thing off me after a hearing by just doing the things that I like doing, some exercise, go surfing, something like that. But it doesn't really work. I found that, and other colleagues of mine have found that they've become very stressed, very withdrawn from their families, and I think we could all do with a heavy dose of therapy.
It was very important to me. Actually, I will mention me, although some people will not say I will proclaim myself, but I will say to me the TRC was very important as the workers' leader, because I was working for Transport and General Workers Union at that time, which is the affiliate of COSATU, and being the regional organizer. And then all the issues that I've given, truth that I've given to the Truth Commission, if the TRC can follow up it, can make the follow-up on those issues, I will be happy. Yeah, I think tomorrow I will be a free man because the South African people knows everything that has happened to me. Then as a free man now, actually, in the mind also I'm relieved because I see what is actually was hitting me all the time.
It's been incredible. There are two impressions. One, how could we ever be so ghastly? The depth of depravity takes your breath away. That's the one side. The other side is almost exhilarating, that people who have suffered as much as these should have this capacity to forgive, this magnanimity, and the dignity that is being affirmed. We are asked by the Act to help in the rehabilitation of the human and civil dignity, and I have seen it happen. And it's been a great privilege to be part of this process. You see, these are people who for so long had stories that nobody heard. They had experiences that were ignored. Now they're going to be part of the official history of this country. And a voice has been given to those who were imagined to be voiceless. Those who were on the margins are now center stage. And they are a very, very crucial part of our being able to tell as complete a picture as possible of the gross human rights violations of this country in this period. I am amazed, first of all, at the healing that has happened to the survivors just through the telling of the story. But much more, this incredible thing that I refer to, this magnanimity, this willingness to forgive. You saw it with the trust feed case, the Brian Mitchell case, where despite the fact that he was responsible for such a devastating massacre, when he went there, facilitated by the commission, they were hostile initially, but when he left, they were waving goodbye to him. He was almost a part of the community. And I am amazed at what contribution we have made. But we need to underscore that we are asked to promote national unity and reconciliation. Reconciliation is the work of all of us. The Commission can only make a contribution.